Hello, and welcome back to the Patrick's Green Tea podcast. This episode, we welcome a very special guest onto the show. Jordan Demarest is a drummer for Ship of Fools, which is the Grateful Dead cover band I've played in and I'm making a documentary on. He also drums for many other bands and does sound mixing professionally. Some of these bands include Senior Living and The Great Pacific Garbage Patch. We get along really well, and he has a storied history with weed, so he'll fit in easily here. We may or may not have recorded this in a university studio on April 30th, 2021. Who's to say? We had access to Shure SM7Bs, which I'm told are the same microphones Joe Rogan uses. During the recording of this episode, I set up a GoPro to capture video and backup audio just in case I decided to use it. I haven't decided to show my face on this show yet, so for now that footage will be kept under wraps. However, I'm open to releasing it in the future. In either case, the GoPro is what I'm messing around with while we're recording. Something called the Big Iron comes up in this episode. This is a gravity bong that Jordan and his friends made. Dan, Jordan, and I used the Big Iron too while listening to Big Iron by Marty Robbins. That was an experience. It was actually the first time I've used a gravity bong, and I believe I recorded a currently unreleased podcast after using it. I also wanted to clarify that the Yale Bowl / Westville Music Bowl was not new. It's been around for at least several decades, since I later learned that my dad saw Bonnie Raitt and Bruce Hornsby there in the 80s. It sucks that Jordan and I talk about how cool it would be to have dispensaries in New York State, and they still aren't around a year later. No one knows when they'll even be established in New York or Connecticut. I mean, the Connecticut part might have changed since I wrote that, but I'm not really sure. Either way, they're not around right now, and they're not going to be around for at least several months, so very disappointing. At around 1 hour and 14 minutes, the Connecticut radio station I talk about that features Biggie Smalls, soul, and hip-hop is 94.3 WYBC out of New Haven. I still have them favorited in my car, and I listen to them whenever I don't have the phone hooked up. My friend Steven actually introduced me to it. He and his mom are fans of that kind of music, and they would play it on the way to and from a local Connecticut amusement park during middle school and high school summer breaks when we would go together. At about 27 minutes into the podcast, when I started talking about my John Mayer story, I accidentally referred to my ex-girlfriend as my girlfriend, but different person from my current girlfriend. Also, these timestamps, like you just have to add the intro time to all these timestamps. I don't know how long the intro is going to be, and I don't feel like editing, 3 times just to figure out what the actual timestamp is. But these timestamps are as of the first hitting record, I guess, on the actual episode. Feel free to email me your spin on the Patrick's Green Tea theme song, and you'll have a chance to be featured in a future podcast episode. The show's email address is, as always, PatricksGreenTea@gmail.com. Stick around after the episode for a pretty lengthy epilogue where I follow up on my vaccine passport comments, among other things. I also wanted to take the time to just kind of update you guys on my life. I know it's been several months since the last episode was released. I don't even know when the last episode was released. I just know that it's been like at least a full season out of the year. So I've been doing good. I finally moved out of my parents' house. Living in Brooklyn right now, very good place to be in terms of like using weed and just having a free time. But there's been a lot of just New York things that I'm remembering now that I was tired of when I lived here, and just things about like the gridlock and how long things take. And my guitar got stolen yesterday, and I tried to file a police report. It took like 3 hours of waiting. I missed a whole concert because of that, and then today I had to wait another 2 hours before anyone responded. So it's just kind of a nightmare to live here, and I'm looking forward to moving out. I'm moving out in about like 2 weeks. After this Brooklyn experience, I'll hopefully be living in Westchester County somewhere. Not sure entirely where. Maybe New Jersey, but probably still in New York, just to make things easier. I'm definitely in a weird place in my life, and I'll talk more about it in a future episode that I'm hoping to record later tonight. But I've been doing okay. Definitely a lot of crazy stuff happening, including like a hospital visit, a mental hospital visit that I sober checked into, and experienced an ego death while I was sober. Realizing that I have bipolar 1. I was diagnosed a few years ago, but never really wanted to accept it. A lot of things. But on the flip side, I was able to record some saxophone music for a short film soundtrack. I've been accidentally sober because of how much I've been working on film and TV as a sound person and as an assistant. Mostly as a sound person recently, which has been my bread and butter. And there goes a siren. You can tell I'm in New York. I'm not faking it. uh, yeah, so I'm actually planning on recording an episode later tonight just to like decompress and just kind of get fucked up. Um, Ignore the siren. I can't do anything about it. I'm too tired of waiting now. Um, Definitely a long, long month. At least half a month. Um, Long in a different way was June, but this whole half a month it just flew by because of various things that sucked. But um, anyway, this episode, now that I have some time to myself, I really wanted to finish it. It was in the works and like partially finished for a long time, but months went by for different reasons. I couldn't work on it. Obviously, the release schedule is like not consistent anymore, and probably won't be again. But I do still want to release this podcast and the episodes that were recorded. Um, and it's my goal to keep putting it out, keep contributing to it because there's like a whole festival that happened over a year ago now. That's the train, by the way, the J train. Um, I'm living in Bedford Stuyvesant, aka Bed-Stuy, like a block away from Bushwick, so it's a really cool area. But um, yeah, I do want to keep putting this podcast out. I do really enjoy making this, recording this, putting it out. It's just that the time has not been on my side at all for a long time, especially now that I'm working consistently and trying to find free time for myself otherwise. But I appreciate you guys sticking around, and that's it. I hope you enjoy the episode.
Wow, that tastes good.
Yeah, this is the one thing is this like smells, and my whole point of getting like dab pens is to have it not smell because my parents are like super crazy about it.
Oh yeah.
But it does taste really good, and it looks cool too. It's like clean looking.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You can look at it sometimes and tell.
Yeah.
Right? That's crazy.
Um, yeah, and the G Pen. I had a G Pen for a while. I think I got one like online, but at one point like my dad took all my shit and like threw it out. So uh, there was this one place in Massachusetts that was selling them. This is the second iteration the second version that I have. It's so convenient and it like works really well and the battery lasts like fucking forever.
Yeah, I'm surprised with that too. I'm surprised how long they last sometimes. I'm like, I haven't charged this thing in a while. I don't even have a G Pen, so that probably is even better.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome.
it's nice. What's nice is you can just buy these sort of things wherever, but yeah.
Yeah, that's honestly a good company. I forgot who makes that. I think like Snoop Dogg isn't at least endorsed by it or
Yeah,
something,
probably.
or makes it, or I can't even remember. He's got
Yeah.
some kind of affiliation with them that's like very legit, actually. Which is kind of wild.
I don't see any waveforms on there. Is it recording?
Yeah, it is kind of recording. Here, ready? So I'm on the. There's me,
All right.
and there's
Hello.
you.
Cool.
We're good. Because the other thing we can always do, nice thing about Pro Tools is any of the audio that we have that we want to be louder, we can just later. There's like a function, not even the volume on the track, but it's actual clip volume. So it'll make it so it's as if it was recorded louder without like raising. Because sometimes when you turn stuff up, you get like more room noise,
Yeah.
you know? Editing this with the clip gain, you're not going to get as much room noise, which is very convenient.
Exactly.
And there's even a software that I own. If you have audio that's clipped, it will unclip it. I have no idea how that works. If you have a mix, you can separate the vocals even if it's just like a whole song. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I've seen people like rip just like I don't know. Bohemian Rhapsody, just vocals or something. Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
And I never knew how they did that. I'm like, you got to have access to the original track to be able to do that, right? Like, you have to have access to the original thing, but
That's
apparently there's softwares.
Because I know Dan was talking about comping his vocals for the Halloween show, and he said that if you
Oh.
just go to that EQ, because the vocal range is only in a specific EQ, that you can sort of like narrow it down. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's like some computer software that can figure it out too, even more than you can just looking at it.
Yeah, all the there's like AI
Mm-hmm.
now AI mastering software, AI like all kinds of crazy stuff. It's very weird.
Yeah, Dan was telling me about this thing called ozone.
Yes.
It does that kind of thing.
Yes, I have the ozone imager. Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah, really cool. And really trippy. I love plugins. Plugins are like effects, in your DAW, in your workstation, so it's like
Yeah.
super fun. Some of them are really cool. Like I kind of go plugin crazy sometimes because you can download them or purchase them, or sometimes you can crack them, so you can get paid stuff for
Wow.
free or very cheap.
That seems illegal.
And yeah, it is. So once you start getting on that grind, it's a little addicting at times. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I just want everything for free.
Yep.
But at a certain point, once you're like making money, it's only respectful to pick that up. It's like, it's like you're making money. Like, don't do it for free.
Exactly.
Right now, I'm a student who's broke, so if I like crack something here or there, I don't feel too guilty. But I do know at some point I'm just gonna buy it. So.
You want another one?
Sure. Yeah, what is it? I can't remember what I was gonna say.
It's what it does to you.
I'm not sure. Yeah, right.
This shit, I looked it up. It's like 80% THC. This is probably this thing gets me the highest out of
What?
anything. Like probably only surpassed by the Big Iron.
Oh shit. Oh yeah. No, the big iron is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I forget about that. That's at my house right now. Not
Oh,
my
really?
apartment, but up in Albany.
Cool.
So I gotta make a new one if I want one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like you don't use it that often though, right?
Yeah, honestly, there's two reasons why I don't. One, because the big iron that I have is plastic. And I feel like I shouldn't be smoking out of that plastic all the time. Like glass is healthier. So if I can make a big iron out of glass or something, I feel a little bit better about it. Yeah.
Is that possible? Can you like
I have a friend who actually made his own gravity bong out of bottles of alcohol, like empty alcohol bottles.
Holy shit, dude.
And the way he did it was he had a string that you tie around it, and you put, I think it's like nail polish remover, acetone or something like that. You soak a string in that, and then you wrap the string a couple times around this bottle.
Mhm.
Then you light the string on fire as though it's a wick, and it burns around the bottle, makes it very hot, but it doesn't break the bottle. What you then do after it's hot enough is dip the bottle immediately in cold water, and apparently it breaks off clean. If you do it right. It has to be hot enough.
How long does it have to be doing that?
I don't know. It has to be hot. Like that's the thing is like if you do one wrap with the string, the string will burn too fast. So you need to wrap it like 5 to 10 times, I think, so that it burns long enough to get hot enough that it just breaks clean. I mean, yeah, but my friend pulled it off and made one, and that's pretty epic. So if I could do that with the big iron, I would use it more because it's so convenient. Because one, it does get, like you said, it gets you mad high, but it also doesn't use a lot. Like
That's
you're not
true.
smoking like a joint. You're not smoking like a couple packs.
It's like a bowl amount, right?
Yeah, or even less. Sometimes it's just like enough for 1 or 2 hits.
Well,
And the way I will usually do it is I pack like 1 hit and a little layer of kief on top, and then you just rip into one, hold it in for a sec, and you're set. It's like I use barely anything, and I'm like ripped. That's crazy.
that is crazy.
Yep.
My phone's like not connecting with it.
Oh,
Sometimes
dang.
it's just like screwy.
Yep. Yeah, my phone will do that too with a couple of my apps that are like when you need Wi-Fi to connect to something. Was that connected with Wi-Fi or what?
I think it's like the combo of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth.
Interesting.
old for GoPro.
Old for GoPro?
You ever been on
An actual set or something?
yeah, with like 40 people?
Not really. The closest I've been to like being on a set, I guess, is like news.
Oh, really?
Like I've done like news with do you even know Spectrum News?
Is it like
Where is Spectrum? What is Spectrum? Is that like a New York thing or what?
Spectrum is like an internet company, right?
Yes. Okay, so you do know. I'm not sure. Like I'm not familiar. I'm like, are they everywhere or not? I think
think so.
Spectrum's everywhere.
They have a news company?
I guess so. They do Spectrum News, which is part of like Time Warner Cable or something,
Like
isn't it?
what kind of stuff do they talk about? Just like everyday stuff?
It's like news coverage. That's what they do. They like pull up. Like I was working for an event company, so they would pull up with a truck with like comms and their cameras and everything, and then my company would supply different supplies. So for example, some of these events they were doing, they need a podium or you need like a stage or like risers. So we would provide those. We provide extra lights because sometimes they only have a limited amount of lights and they want like big lights. In my company that I was working at, we had like everything. That's our job, is to like show up and provide and then leave. So I was working with them and doing that, and those working on site at those was like really cool work and really fun. But I've never been on like a legit set, and I've never been involved. Like I've never had a serious role. Like I set everything up, and when it was time for things to start happening, like people were gonna start saying stuff, it was like time to take a lunch and stay out of the way. Like don't mess anything up. Wait for them to say, tear it down. Basically, was my job, because I wasn't that high up on the pool or whatever.
Yeah.
I was just like one of the new guys. I was an intern actually, technically.
I wasn't got to do that. I had to do it for like school. Every semester, you had to do a certain number of hours on set. But
Wow.
also, I thought it was so fun. The summer before I even started as a freshman, my chemistry teacher used to babysit this girl who was now in the film program at my school, and she invited me onto a set because I texted her. It was a wacky set. It was probably the worst set I've ever been on because the lunch situation was all fucked up.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So what was the set like? What were you guys doing?
It was like an advanced senior thesis. And this girl was combining animation with like real life, and everything was super saturated colors, and people were wearing like wacky shit. It was like some weird, I don't even know, some weird, like you know that show with the girl who's in purple or pink, and she's wearing that like pink wig, and there's the
Oh
blue
my
dude
God,
who
Lazy
runs.
Town.
Yeah,
right?
dude, it was like that kind of vibe.
No way.
In the Mamaroneck.
Wow, that's where it was. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's crazy. That's pretty weird.
They actually got to film on the stage where the Sesame Street was done.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's
Though.
called Kaufman Studios, so it was like the place. So she was building some crazy sets. It was pretty wild.
See, that's awesome experience too, though. It's a
Yeah,
weird
dude.
show, but that makes it interesting, and that's good work, though.
Yeah.
But so you did that every semester or every year? What was it?
You had to do it as a freshman, like once a semester or something. But I did like 2 or 3 times a semester. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, that's a great experience. It's super fun,
And everyone is always, there's so many projects happening that they all need people working on them.
And what's that typically like for you? Like, where do you show up and?
Usually the first like 5, I was just there to move stuff.
Yeah.
If they needed some of the like batteries from the store, I'd have to go and get them, or like an extra SD card or something like random.
That's what I was
Most
doing
of the time,
too.
I would just sit in the snack room with the actors while they were doing all their shit, because like I don't know what I'm gonna do. But then I got to be a camera helper. I was like the second AC for a while.
Oh,
I got to
nice.
operate those big Ronins. That's like a 2-handed thing.
Oh yeah.
It was. I showed Dan. I'd have to like fish up the picture of it. You have to remind me, but it's like a big joystick. So the camera.
Oh, I was doing something like that too.
Really?
I was operating a camera using a joystick as well.
It's such a weird feeling, right? That's so cool.
Yeah, it was like a remote camera thing, and I was doing that at a graduation. It was like a live event. And
It was like a handheld thing or like a drone or what?
it's like, it looked like almost like a security camera. Like it was like a dome or like an orb,
Okay.
and it was on a tripod, and you just move it. You have like a limited amount of, rotation, and it's limited by like the gears. It can't like go I don't think it can turn like full 360. But it was cool. Yeah, you have like a remote control where you can zoom, pan, yeah, whatever. And it was kind of
It
it
was
was
just like
fun.
fixed.
Yeah,
That's wild.
basically. Yeah, you're not like moving around too much. Like no one was like holding it. But the way when I was doing that, I did camera operation twice. I did it once at a graduation ceremony for SUNY Albany, and then I did it again at a stadium thing in upstate, which was like a rock concert with these local talents, and that was really cool too. That one was with my company, but the one at SUNY Albany was with like this other private camera company. Like I was working with them, and my own company. But while we're there, like this guy is basically giving me like the directions. So he would tell me like, all right, like I want like he would have a shot lined up, and then he'd be telling me like to line the next shot up. So he'd say like, come here, and like when I switch to your camera, I want you to do like zoom out and pan and like capture the whole room. So then I'd be like, okay. And he's like, all right, and then you say that he has a term, just like switching 3, 2, 1, and then he goes on to mine, and I pan, and he'd be like, yeah, like that. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's the stuff. He would start saying things like that.
Oh my
So I'm
god.
sitting there, I'm like, I never operated a camera before. I'm glad that you're happy. Yeah, man, it's fun. I love stuff like that. Like,
I didn't know you had so much like sort of film and TV and like camera experience.
it's weird. I also have lighting experience.
Yo, that's
So
cool.
like I've put together like LED walls and assembled like LED displays and stuff like that.
For like
know,
you or for shows or what?
for locations in general. Like for shows, like they'll have like a giant LED screen, right? That's like got these like light shows basically happening. And so people will pull up with like their flash drive with these pre-programmed like LED shows, and like they just get projected through the LEDs. Usually it's like a band logo and like graphics. But we also would build them for like we went to a train station, and the train station had a broken LED screen. So we went and we replaced it, and that displays all of the times like this is when the trains are coming, this is when the trains are leaving, and whatever. So we fixed that thing. But I also did like assembling like regular lights, like stage lights and whatever, putting stuff on trusses. And then I did spotlights at live shows too.
Yeah.
So you have to like aim this giant spotlight that's like huge. It's like a cannon. You have to aim it at the people on stage and follow them around, which can be funny too, because then like they're moving around, they're running. So sometimes you're like got this, spotlight that's aimlessly like trying to find this person.
Yeah.
And my first time running spotlights was again at SUNY Albany, because we do a lot of events there because the company is located like right near the city of Albany. So we work in there all the time. So we're at the college, and we did Rich the Kid, who's like this rapper, this guy who was even went viral from SoundCloud, and it's funny as heck because we're here, and I'm like, I got the spotlight on him. I'm doing like pretty well. And at one point in the show, he does that thing where that rappers do. He's like, I want all the lights off. Turn all the lights off. Everyone turn your phone cameras on and put your flashlights on. I want all the lights off. So I have like the comm. I have like an intercom, and I'm talking to my boss like, yo, like it's okay if I turn this off, right? He's like, yeah, do what he says. So I do it. And then eventually like lights start coming on again. And I'm like, should I turn on my spotlight again? And my boss is like, yeah. So I do. And he goes, get that flashlight out of my eyes. Who's putting the flashlight in my eyes? Get that flashlight out of my eyes. And I was like, I think he's talking about my spotlight. What the heck? So then I turned it off, and I'm like, yeah, sorry, boss. I'm not keeping it on. I don't think he wants it anymore.
Oh my god.
It was so funny to have, Rich the Kid just be like, yo, get that flashlight out of my eyes. I'm like, it's a spotlight, dude. I'm sorry. I'm doing my job.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I never properly introduced you. I just wanted to like, shout you out. You're Jordan Demarest, right?
Yeah.
I had to think about that one.
Yeah. No, it's exactly. Yeah.
But like, I talk about you often. You're a cool dude. I always talk like my every time I go to Dan's or whatever, I tell my girlfriend like, dude, we have a crazy time. This documentary or this fucking like band practice was insanely good.
Yeah, I love it. It's
Yeah.
always good times. Like that's the thing is like every time we've hung out, like typically we're like working on something, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you and I like work on stuff. Like that's how we met, is through working on something.
Right.
And like here we are, like working on something together. You know what I mean? That's cool because like we're not only friends, but first we were collaborators in a way, which is really
Yeah.
cool to come that way. You know, it's very beneficial, and you know, I'm happy about it. I'm really happy I met you and I know you. Like,
That's awesome.
it's good times, man. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, at first it's pretty stressful because I was like directing, so you have to think of everything at once. But then when we
Yeah.
started like jamming and all that, I was like, a real good time. Early 2021, late 2020 were awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say the first time we met was like when I did an interview
Mhm.
with you, I think.
Yeah,
And I think we jammed after that, right? Like eventually,
yeah, I think so.
like the guy who was assisting you left, and everything got torn down. And I think that you hopped on guitar or something.
I think David was there at one of the times.
Yeah, David was there the second time I was there. The first time
Okay,
I was
first
there,
time.
yeah, the
Might have been
first time I was
guitar.
there, everyone was supposed to come, and like
Mhm.
no one showed up.
Yeah, dude.
So then Dan told me no one showed up. I tell Dan, I'm like, do you not want me to come anymore? He was like, no, we need you to come. Like, I thought that since no one came, like, maybe I shouldn't come. I'm like, should I?
Mhm.
He's like, no, we needed people to come. You gotta come. And I was like, okay, no problem.
Well, I'm glad you did come.
Yeah, exactly, right?
It was
You
fun.
know?
That was the day I used a lot of purple lighting or like that sort of magenta
Oh,
lighting.
yeah.
That was really fun. And I remember the conversation being good. I was like still trying to record myself at that point. So I was behind a camera. Like there's a camera
I
between you
know. I
and me.
remember you being pretty
Or
far
two
away at
cameras.
one point, too. Yeah, because we
Yeah.
have to, social distance. We have our masks on and stuff.
Yeah, I
So.
forgot about that. We
Yeah,
were
so
like
you were
really
like on the other side of this room. I'm like looking at you, like, hey.
I know. But it was fun. I remember just mainly I remember like the like locking in with you on the drums is so fun. We're able to just have this funky back and forth
Yeah.
that's so like
Yeah, especially on sax lately. It's been like
yeah.
fantastic. Yeah. You start laying something, you start putting out these rhythms, and I love that. Like I love when an artist like puts out a rhythm or has a motif, right? They have
Mhm.
like a thing they start playing. Because then the drummer, you can be like, all right, I'm gonna exaggerate all your rhythms.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that makes it tight. And then the rest of the band, they hear us being tight, and they're like, okay, this is the groove.
Exactly.
And it's like now we have something, you know? It's
Yeah.
not just us all playing. Like it's
I
nuts.
feel it's the same with the bass too. I played bass with Dan. Dan was on drums and guitar. That was
Oh,
fucking
that's
sick,
cool.
dude.
Wait, when was that? Did you guys record that? Cause I wanna hear
No,
that.
we never recorded it. It was just like while
Oh,
he was filming, we just
it's
took an
lost in the
hour break.
void.
I know. That's why, I try to record the cool shit like this. 'Cause I'm like, man, that was awesome. I want to re-listen to that.
I know. I
I
always feel like it's like record everything.
exactly. I have the we can watch them here too because we had the speakers. The GoPro footage from our jam with Elijah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, all like
That was
2
super
hours of
cool
it.
too. Yeah, that was awesome. That was a good jam.
We did a Bertha. We did we did John Mayer fucking slow dancing in a burning room. I've never even like thought to play that
Oh
song.
yeah, we
And it's
did.
so good. It sounded so good,
I forgot about that.
right?
Yeah. It's funny how you don't remember it until you like start hearing the songs and you're like, "Oh, I remember. We did that and then it took us to here and then it took
Yeah.
us to here."
I'm actually trying to make a. I uploaded them to the Google Drive. It's like 50 gigabytes though, so you can just like parse through. But I'm also trying to do a spreadsheet, which I like doing ever since I did my film when I was recording the shoot report. I would say like who was playing what and what song was played.
Yeah.
The GoPro file is just our names like ass. It's like G2222543. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So, but I like going through because I remember those things. Like, oh man, we did a Cumberland Blues or something like that, like a western.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wanted to ask you, um, the the show sort of like ends up being about a lot of stuff, but mainly my goal with it is to talk about weed, and I'm surprised I always like divert from it because it's just like
Yeah,
there's
there's just
so much to
so
talk
much to talk
about.
about, right? Yep.
But I think that one thing that I'm trying to like get to the bottom of sort of is the whole like feature about weed that you forget about until you're in the middle of it, where it's kind of like a magical thing. I was wondering if you
Mm.
ever had like a really magical or like even if you don't want to think of it that way, just like a profound experience. Maybe not because of weed, but in junction with weed.
Yeah, I feel like it happens a lot more. Like I notice it more. I feel like that stuff happens in your life a lot, and you're sometimes you don't always notice it, but I do notice it when I'm high. Like sometimes when I smoke, I will notice coincidences or things happen that I'm like, wow, like that's like how did that just happen? Or like what
Exactly.
are the chances of that? You know? Or wow, I can't believe that. Like that's once in a million. And that stuff probably happens to me like other times, but I definitely notice it a lot when I'm high. And if maybe that's just like the law of attraction, who knows? I don't really know what it is, but I've had some weird experiences and yeah, definitely like you could say magical or like ethereal or
Yeah.
cryptic, surreal. I don't even know. Like stuff, you know, stuff happens.
For me, sometimes I would smoke, and it's like I walk like my life was a set in the way that it's a controlled, self isolated thing, and then it's like leaving a set, going back to this other completely different world.
Yeah.
I met John Mayer while I was on an edible,
What?
and it was so fucking like surreal. I didn't have a pass. I like my girlfriend did, and because it was like a family friend or something, and she brought me backstage. I just sort of like followed her while the people were ushering her backstage, and I got to talk to him. I shook his hand. I asked him
Wow.
about if he's played video games, and he said no. He said he
You know
wasn't a
what he
video game
does
person.
instead? He probably plays guitar.
Probably that, yeah. He spent so much time on that thing, but
Yeah.
yeah, and for me, it's the crazy experiences, and also I think it just elevates really emotional things. Like when I listen to my
Yeah.
favorite song at a concert, which happens to be Eyes of the World. I was fucking like bawl my eyes out, and I wouldn't probably do that if I was sober. And it just gets you to a different place.
Yeah. I the last time or I don't even know if it's the last time, but it was I guess it was like 2016 and I was high one morning. I did a wake and bake. I woke and boke
Oh yeah.
and I was on my way to school at the time and there's like the sun is like coming up like it's early in the morning, like it's beautiful sunrise and beautiful day and I'm listening to Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock and it's the Star Spangled Banner.
Oh yeah.
And in that song, it's the part where it's like, in the land of the free. And it's that note. He hits it. And the guitar feeds back, but it's an octave above the note he hits. And it's so beautiful, so perfect. Could not have happened any more beautifully than it did.
Hmm.
It's just like a perfect moment. It's like, that's live. His guitar feeding back shouldn't have been that perfect. You know what I mean? But it was. And yeah, I cried. If I
Well.
wasn't high that morning, I might not have cried. I might have just been like, you know, crap, I got to get to school.
Mhm.
But in that moment, I was really like, wow, what a beautiful, perfect moment. So, yeah,
Yeah,
being high just like makes you realize your emotions much more, you know.
for sure. It makes stuff in minor seem really scary too, but not in like a distressing way. Just like a really well done like monster movie or horror movie or something.
Yeah.
Just like I watched Godzilla high, and that was insane. But anyway,
Wait, which Godzilla?
the new one.
Oh, okay, I want to see that. Yep.
I think it was the sequel, new one.
Yep. Gotcha.
Not versus Kong. I do want to see that, but not bad enough to like have seen it.
I know. Yeah, I want to see that too.
But mainly the song that I really felt I surprised myself also that I cried to, is that City Field, and John Mayer was playing Franklin's Tower after really menacing
Really?
like Help on the Way. That was so like it sounded so fucking good, reverbing off the whole stadium. But um, just his tone on Franklin's Tower. I was hearing it. And I'm like, it just made me. It just pulled the
Wow.
tears out of me. It was really bizarre.
That's
It was
amazing.
windy, so just blowing away. It was wild.
Yeah, no, that's epic. That stuff is so epic. It feels so good. It's amazing how powerful music is,
Yeah,
you know?
the fact that we can just make it, it's something free. You just do.
Yeah, I really believe music is a language.
Hmm.
I think more than anything, you know what I mean? You can say it's an art or a science, you know, people even compare music to math. But I really think that music is a language because, I mean, think you can write in a language, right? You can write music.
Yeah.
And you can speak a language and you can speak music. You know, you can read a language and you can read music.
Hmm.
But the thing is, you don't need to do all three, you know, to speak a language. Like some people can just speak and not read. Like that's literally a thing,
Maybe birds only talk
you
to
know?
each other through music. They like sing.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
So it's 100% like music is a language, I believe.
Yeah.
That's communicating. You really are communicating. An emotion, an idea, you know what I mean? You can really understand. And especially when you make singing, you are not only communicating something with music, but with your lyrics or your words, or that's it's so powerful. I had a friend one time, because going to music school, I have a friend who's very stubborn in classical, and he said,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can consider yourself a true musician if you can't read music. And I was like, well, what about Stevie Wonder? He can't read anything. Would you? He's a musician though, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, well, yeah. And it's like, see, so you don't have to read music to be a musician or something like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I like music a lot. It's so cool.
Yeah, for sure. I miss live music. I've been hearing like bits and pieces of it recently, and it's like holy shit! I can't wait for this to be fully back.
Yeah, I know that things are going to start happening, and that's exciting.
There's this new place in my state. It's in New Haven called the Westville Music Bowl, which is
Ooh.
basically the Yale tennis court, but they made it into like a music venue.
Oh, whoa.
I don't know if it doubles or what, but they're using it for Government Mule this like today and tomorrow.
Wow.
J Rad is gonna play there 2 different weekends and like a bunch of other jam bands.
So they're doing like half capacity or something, right? Like 70% or something weird, or
Probably,
is what's
but it's
happening?
still a lot of people. I mean, J Rad's sold out, but I think they're one of two bands to sell out. There's a bunch of other people that they can. I think J Rad mainly it's just bots, you know,
Oh, yep.
people resell. But yeah,
Yep.
it's cool. Live music is definitely returning. There's a lot in Connecticut. I think I told you about it last time we saw each other.
Yeah. Stuff's just like popping up.
Yeah, New York's kind of like slowing with that. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I see some dates popping up in like world tours, and those aren't happening until like the fall or even next year, like 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of what I'm seeing is you're gonna have to, for some things, you're gonna need like a proof of vaccination or something like that.
Think so?
I saw that with travel, at least. They're doing that in some places for travel.
Mm-hmm.
You need like a vaccination passport. Like it's not just like a passport to travel. You need like a vaccination passport.
I heard it's like an app that they make you download, but
Interesting.
that's what I've heard. The thing is, I don't even fully believe that we're gonna have to do that. I
Yeah,
feel like it might be overblown and just like because it's kind of like a privacy concern.
it definitely
But I
is.
think most people are gonna be vaccinated anyway. But I mean, it's
Yeah,
kind of like it's kind of a fuck you if you don't want to get vaccinated for whatever reason.
yeah. I did because I figured it would be good. It would be good for me, and it would make other people happy too. You know what I mean? It'll make people feel safer to be
Yeah.
around me or whatever. But also a big thing is like, yeah, I'm hoping that this will get me into things. Like I want things to start happening again, and like this can get me into that. Like my family's trying to do a vacation, so we're thinking about like we should all be vaccinated if we're trying to travel,
Mm-hmm.
because that might have to be a thing. And yeah, I just got my second shot on Wednesday, and today is Friday. So yeah,
Cool.
it's like I feel okay. Like I thought I was gonna feel sick and nasty. So they say the second
Nice.
shot's worse, but I feel okay. The only thing I got is like soreness in my arm. Like yesterday, it was hard to like lift it up. I can lift it up now, but if I touch right here,
Mm-hmm.
I can feel where the shot is. Like it's tight.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's fine, and that's gonna be gone by tomorrow.
Nice.
So
Yeah, my girlfriend got a shot yesterday or 2 days ago, and she was like really exhausted at the night of whatever day it was. But I go for my second one tomorrow before the shindig.
yeah, that's gonna be crazy.
Good stuff.
What are we? What are we like playing tomorrow?
Yeah,
Do you have an
that's a
idea?
good question. I think if I had to like guess, it would be some like Bertha. Um, so that's not, and we played that, and it sounded good.
Yeah,
I don't know if we're just gonna meander like we did the last time, but
that's always cool.
yeah.
I'm fine with whatever. What are we doing like camera wise?
Eliana's gonna be on the Ronin, and there's gonna be
Oh,
a GoPro up.
cool.
Yeah, I think
She's great.
she is great. Yeah,
It's great working with her as well.
I'm just thinking like technically it might be a little tight in there to put cameras,
Hmm.
but we'll make something work.
Yeah.
But yeah, Eliana is awesome, of course.
Oh yeah. And Dana, obviously, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, dude, ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Can we talk about other things besides weed on here potentially?
Yeah.
All right. So my first time taking LSD at Purchase. Like I've done it before, but my first time at Purchase was the fall 2019 semester. That's my first semester. That's when I started at Purchase. I was a junior. Um, and my friends and my one friend had never tripped before, so
As you were saying.
yeah. So as we're in the middle of the trip, like we're at a point where we're all feeling pretty good, and
Mm-hmm.
and at this point we had like met people that we never met before, and they ended up becoming like really good friends of ours. Just a lot of wild stuff happened that night. But at one point during the trip, I'm like, I think I remember there's a concert going on tonight, so we go to the Stewed, which is the venue at school, and maybe check it out. So like we go and we get there, and I remember, oh yeah, tonight's the Grateful Dead band. I forgot about that. So we get in there, and there's Dan, there's Ship of Fools. I didn't know them at the time. I didn't even know it was Ship of Fools. All I knew was that there's a Grateful Dead cover band, and I didn't even think it was like an actual band. Like I thought it was just like these guys got together, decided to cover Grateful Dead songs. But no, like it's a Grateful Dead cover band, like straight up, like they're a band. And so I'm like there, and Dan's going crazy. Like his voice was great, and he was like soloing like nuts. He just got the crazy hands, you know what I'm saying? So he's doing that, and who's front row? But Elijah, in that red shirt that he wore at Night of the Living Dead 3.
Oh my God.
He was wearing that shirt, and Elijah's front row going crazy, and I'm in the back like, whoa, this is like wild. Like this group is sick. Like this band's great, and Elijah's like singing every word. And at one point, Dan looks at Elijah and goes, like, oh, you're singing every word. You must know these songs. He's like, what do you want to hear? Elijah said, I can't even remember what song it was, and they were,
Althea.
yeah, and he goes, that's literally our next song. So it was like this magical night. You're like,
Yeah.
and here we are. We end up a year later, like literally exactly a year later, playing that same show that Elijah and I were at. Like Elijah and I saw this show, and then now a year later, we played this show, you know, which is pretty weird.
That is pretty weird.
We walk out of the Stewed that night, and my friend who's tripping for the first time goes, that music was fantastic. That band was so cool. Like that music felt like it was like made for people who were tripping. And I was like, bro, that was a Grateful Dead cover band. He's like, oh, that makes sense.
They did it like very heavy though. They were
They
really
did.
cool. Jake is just a powerhouse, and
Mhm.
Dan's voice is awesome.
No, that's what I remember, them being way more like, the Grateful Dead's pretty bluesy. You got the Southern rock vibes, but they were like rock. They
Yeah,
were
like punk-ish
heavy.
rock.
Really pushing the boundaries, which is
Yeah.
awesome. That's what makes them a good cover band. You know what I mean? You're not
Exactly.
just a total copy. You kind of make it your own in little ways. Bring your own flavor to the music. We're all really good at that when we jam. I like that.
Yeah. For sure. And also, it's cool that I'm doing the documentary on you guys because it, like, in a way, this sort of just was a bunch of coincidences and stuff and just random occurrences that made the band like exist.
Yeah.
But I'm putting it into just like a straight narrative when it's like all over the place.
Which is really cool to have you stringing that together.
That's true. But mainly
Yeah.
it's because I have to understand every part of the story. So to me, they're all like as important as each other, which is really cool. And when you look in
Dang, I never.
retrospect,
Yeah, no, good documentaries. Now that you say that, I guess in my memory, like good documentaries have that. They capture
oh yeah,
everyone's like perspective on the story, and all that's ultimately holistic. At the end
Mhm.
of it all, which is great. And you're doing really well with that too. Like that's what makes it really strong.
yeah, exactly. I have a cool team of people working on it too. I have an editor. Hopefully, I lost my co-producer, but because he had like some medical thing. But this new guy reached out to me, and he said he's a Deadhead. He's been to all the Dead and Company, or not all, but a lot of the Dead and Company shows in the area around New York and Saratoga. So we've been to the same shows. I
Oh,
love
wow.
Saratoga so much. I've been there every year since 2017.
That's awesome.
But
Yeah, I only missed 2019, I think, was the only year I missed. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 2018 was cool. I went with like a bunch of my friends and my girlfriend at the time, so that was really cool.
That,
It was very
would they play
special.
Karina there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That was a
you
magical show,
remember.
dude.
Yes, it
They
was.
sound checked with that. I heard it like ambiently bouncing
Yeah.
off the trees as I was walking to the venue.
Yeah, no, I remember being there like, oh, dude, I was on the lawn. You probably were too, right? Or were
Yeah,
you in the?
I was
Yep,
on the lawn.
yep, that's it. Yeah, and then 2017 was funny because my friend's dad did shrooms, so watching him kind of like bugging out and go wild,
Mm-hmm.
that was wild. And I had someone offer me free acid, and I said no, like a good lad.
Yeah, smart decision.
Yep.
Yeah,
Even like taking joints from people, I'm always like kind of nervous about or something. If someone's like passing something, I'm like, you never know.
yeah,
Like
because
it's really you want to be safer than sorry.
my ex's mom used a joint that's people were passing around, and like everyone who used it just passed out, and they're in the front of the pit. It was really scary.
Whoa.
Yeah, I wasn't there at the time, but I heard about it, and I was offered acid by this like dude at Peach Fest who was like a dad. He was talking about his son in the military or whatever. He's like, "You want some acid?" I'm like, "No, I'm good." Because Trey was playing later, and I was like,
Oh.
it's gonna be the first time I hear him, and I think I want to hear him like on weed or at the most, first time.
Yeah,
Then I ended up
right.
doing that,
Yeah.
but yeah, ground scores. That'd be crazy. Just like thinking, just YOLO as you fucking pick something up
Yeah.
from the ground and snort it or whatever, not knowing what it is.
Yeah. Like I'm nervous about that stuff. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Even like buying from someone new at times, I'm like, gotta make sure it's okay. I want to make sure I'm cool.
exactly. I can't wait for dispensaries to come here.
Yeah, that's gonna be really cool. I have a friend who's selling himself now. He's been ordering seeds. He's gonna start growing,
Cool.
and he finally met someone who's got these crazy deals. So he's been buying very cheap and selling. And it's crazy because like he's now selling dabs too. And normally I can't get dabs for like cheaper than like 30 a gram, maybe 25, and he's selling them for 15 a gram, I believe. And I'm like, that's pretty cheap, man. Like that's crazy. How much are you how? Is that like are we ripping you off or are you getting ripped off? Like
Yeah.
he's not. So that's interesting to see. Like things are changing, I think.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
cool. Because like the black market sort of like prices are just they're not regulated or anything. They're just like dependent on the supply
Yeah.
and demand like fully.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. We're gonna see a lot of the business start booming.
Yeah, and hopefully people growing and just bypassing the whole thing.
I would like to eventually. That'd be so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, but I think even with it just takes a while supposedly to grow the plant. It's like 6
Yeah.
months to a year.
Yeah. And I hear that it takes a long time to get started. Like your plants produce more as time goes on, but you really need to get up to a point where it's just like sustaining itself almost. Like
Yeah.
you give it all the care it needs, but it's just like a strong enough plant that it'll produce. So that takes like a year or two. Yeah.
But then it puts out so much weed.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
My family went to California a while ago on vacation. It was like 2015, I think, summer of 2015, I believe. And like we went to the redwood forest, and they have sequoias, which are the trees. You know,
Right.
they sell those in like a little cup, and you can grow it into a whole redwood if you want to, which is crazy, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, for
But
sure.
yeah, where were we? I guess what
We were sort of like trailing off. I was actually thinking
Yeah.
of asking what was like your earliest sort of experiences with weed? I think I've forgotten my like second or I remember the first time, but after that it's sort of hazy.
I remember the first 2 times I smoked, and that was really no. There was like 3 times, I think. 3 real times that I got high before I stopped for a long time.
Okay.
And so my first time smoking, this was summer of 2013. And my first time smoking was my friend got tickets to fish for his birthday. It
Yo.
was like an extra ticket. And he invited me. So my first time getting high, I got high, then I went to fish. And it was amazing. Like I'd never even experienced jam music before. I never saw Fish. I didn't really know like any of their songs, and it was like magical. I remember just being like blown away. Like just like what is happening? People
Yeah.
were just throwing glow sticks constantly, and I was like fixating over like getting as many glow sticks as I could and shoving it in this water bottle so that I could throw the water bottle. So like I was just goofy high, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But that was my first time ever, and my first time smoking. My first feeling was like, oh my god, this is so hot. Like I feel like this hurts and this sucks. So I only
Mhm.
took like 2 hits off this joint, and I was just laughing the whole bike ride home. We were in like the woods and we rode our bikes. We like ride our bikes home and we're like laughing the whole time, and we're like sitting there in his living room, like not even like you think like if we were like normally chilling, we'd
Mhm.
be like in his room, like on his computer playing video games or making music. We were just sitting in his living room like talking, like being high. So that was kind of obvious. But his dad, I guess, was pretty oblivious. So his dad ended up making us dinner, driving us to the concert, picking us up. Like
You
it
were high the
was
whole time?
when I got to the concert, I started coming down, and then this guy passed around a spliff.
Yo,
So
okay.
that was also my first time smoking tobacco that night
Wow.
because there was a spliff, and I didn't even know it was. When my friend
Mm.
Aaron, when he passed it to me, he goes, "This is a spliff," and I was like, "Okay." So then I hit it, and then after I'm like, "What's a spliff?" You know, I was kind of like, I figured that was just another term for a
It's
joint or
dipped in
something.
liquid LSD.
Yeah, imagine he said that. He was like, "Yeah, it's crack." And I'm like, "It looked like what?"
Yeah. It's that
Yeah.
crack weed.
Yeah, right. Oh my god, you know. So yeah, that was awesome. It was incredible.
Mm.
My two favorite songs from that performance were "The Divided Sky" and "You Enjoy Myself."
Oh, You Enjoy Myself is fucking phenomenal. The
Yes,
song.
it is. Oh my god, it was amazing. They're jumping on trampolines. They do a vocal solo at the end, and that was like my favorite part of the whole concert. Oh, incredible! Like that was like one of the best experiences of my life. Like the
Wow.
first time getting high, and going to that. You know, sold me on weed. Definitely, I was like, I'd wanted to smoke for a long time up until that point. Like I was already listening to music where I knew people smoked. I'd seen movies that were like stoner movies. Like I knew that smoking was something I was interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I've also always been a careful person, so I'm always like trying to be good and take care of myself, and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Second time smoking, I went to a Bob Marley cover band concert with the same guy. This was the same friend. Like I wasn't buying weed, but he like knew dealers and was dealing for a bit. So as a friend of mine, we both made music together and we're both into very similar things. We were like trying to like chill and do that. So like he invited me to the Fish concert. I was like, hey, I know a Bob Marley cover concert. You should come over. We'll get high and then we'll go. Because last time we were at his house, this time we're gonna go to my house. We smoked a joint in my basement after the concert and tried to blow out the window. One of those little small basement windows. You know, you're in a basement and it's like super small
Yeah.
windows, and it did not work. My whole house smelled, and I had little brothers at the time who like did not know about like smoking really.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really know about weed like that yet. Like my youngest brother hadn't even done like dare at that point. You know what I'm saying? So my parents were very upset,
Yeah.
and that was like a kind of a barrier. Like that was one of the first times in my life where it was like, oh, my parents are like actually disappointed in me, and that felt weird. Very weird. And then that was the summer. Come October, I'm just like, oh, I'll try to smoke again and just be a little more low key, not smoke around the house at all. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'll just smoke like in the woods behind school. Like I would stay after school and smoke in the woods behind school, stuff like that. And there was this one time. This is actually the third time. So all right, it was like the first time was Fish, second time was Bob Marley, third time was just after school, and after we smoke, I text my mom like, yeah, like, cause like she had to pick me up at some point. There was like a late bus that didn't come till like way later. And I texted her like, yeah, I'll probably be free around this time. And after I texted her, I'm like, wait, I probably should have taken the late bus. I should have just made him an excuse and taken the bus later, and then I would have more time to just like be high.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big mess up because then I'm like, now I'm gonna just be on this drive home with my mom, and hopefully I'm gonna be okay. And I was like, I hope I either don't say anything like dumb or talk too much. And
Yeah.
I ended up on the side of like don't talk too much. I was kind of quiet on the way home, which was awkward, but And I remember that time I'm like sitting doing homework and I'm like looking at stuff and I actually kind of felt like I was like hallucinating. I was like, not like hard, but I was like, things look like they're like breathing or like kind of like wavy.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, whoa. Like curtains look like they were like wavy, you know? And so I'd probably smoked 5 times in that course from like July of 2015 to like October 2015. But I only really got high, like really high, 3 times
Ever?
at that point.
Okay.
And then I took a break because, all right, so after 2013, my parents, like, I guess just didn't trust me as much. And at one point they found like a grinder and joint papers and a lighter. No weed, but that stuff. And so they were upset. They took that away and I think they took away my phone at the time too. And like,
Damn.
said like, you're like grounded.
Were they
for
mad
this.
about something else you did, or just like snooping for no reason?
Yeah, I guess it was, like snooping around.
Damn. Okay.
I know, right? Yeah.
So you did nothing wrong getting punished.
Yeah, I mean, though, basically, they were just upset that I was smoking. Like, they didn't want me
Yeah.
smoking, so they were like grounding me for smoking weed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like hard. Like my parents were very against it for a while. And I'm also the firstborn. So my parents I've been like the crash test dummy, you know? At this point, like they know that my little brothers smoke, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's like if they knew that about me, they would have literally, taken away my phone and grounded me. And now they don't care. It's like
dude.
wild, you know? It's not that they don't care. Like we don't smoke around them. We don't talk about it around them. It's kind of like an unspoken thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we're at now. Is like as long as it's not getting us in trouble or we're not being dangerous, like it's okay. And I just don't like smoke around them. I don't really say like I'm going out to smoke, or I don't like make it obvious. You know.
Do they like grill you about it, or is it like a don't ask, don't tell?
They never do. The only time they'll bring it up is like if it smells, basically.
Makes
If they're like I smell it and I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Um.
Yeah, dude, I feel your pain.
Yeah, it's hard, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically that was it. Like and then I got grounded. I didn't smoke for a while, and then I ended up having a girlfriend. She didn't smoke. My friends at the time, they weren't really smoking, so I just didn't smoke for a while. But then around when my girlfriend and I at the time, when we were getting close to breaking up, like things were on the decline. My other friends were starting to smoke again, like my old friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I was interested in it again. And I got, like, an apple. I'm trying to smoke out of an apple. I was trying to smoke out of tinfoil. And
Oh my god.
it was a mess. I was trying to do stuff like that. Like, I picked up, like, a gram of weed. And over the course of, like, a month, I tried, like, a bunch of different ways of smoking. Like, the tin can. I was trying everything. You know what I mean? And it sucked. And then New Year's Eve was when my girlfriend broke up with me. And the same day, my friend was like, yo, you should come get high with us. So those are my best friends, like, to this day.
Nice.
Like if I had to, like, narrow down, like, best friends, like, homies, like, you know, like, we went through a lot together. So they're, like, my best friends. And that night, that was, like, my first time actually getting high again with them. You know, it was, like, and that was that point. So that was New Year's of 2016. Like, it was January 1st, 2016.
Okay.
And so I've only taken like 2 real tolerance breaks since then. So
How long were the tolerance breaks?
like at most 12 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I took a break, like, you know what I mean? Like I smoked for a couple months back when I was a freshman in high school. And then I took a break until senior year. And then I smoked in, like January 1st, 2016. And now here we are, April 2021. So it's been like, a couple years. Been on the stoner grind, kind of.
Yeah.
So I got experience now, you know. Okay, actually, one other funny story.
Yeah.
Before I started, like I said, on January 1st, that's when I chilled with my friend and we smoked, and it was a magical night. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It was just fun to have a little adventure. But before that, when I smoked out of the apple, at the time I worked at Target, so I smoked in the parking lot of where I worked when I wasn't on shift, and then I go in, and I'm like, I'm just gonna walk around and buy some snacks and talk to some people, because I know some people that I worked with who smoked, and I knew it was at night, so like it's super low key. Like I knew it was gonna be like a funny little vibe. But I get there, I buy some snacks. I'm like, I'm not really feeling it, and then I like go to check out, And like the people who I thought were working weren't really working, and I'm like, this is boring. Like I'm not really feeling it. Then I go outside and there's this guy Kevin. Now Kevin is goofy. He looks like Heat Miser.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's a very interesting guy, and he always talks like, "Oh, Jordan, how are you? Oh," he'll always do that kind of thing, like, "Oh." I don't even know how to describe it.
Very
So
particular.
I know, yeah, it's interesting, right? So he is like, he's out there. He's like, "It's great to see you, Jordan. Like, I always like how you are so enthusiastic and you always do your best at work." I was like, "Oh, thanks, Kevin." He's like, "Yeah, if you do your best in life, I know you're gonna go far. And if you work hard, you can do anything you want. I know you can." I was like, "Wow, Kevin, thank you. That's really kind of you." He's like, "Yeah, a lot of things in this world are possible, but you might not believe it." I was like, "It's probably a good point. That's very interesting." He's like, "Yeah, I've seen black magic." And I was like, "All right, I think I'm high." Like I didn't think I was before, but now I feel high.
Yeah.
You know? I got through the whole store, I got through checkout. I wasn't feeling it. Now I'm out here and this man's talking about black magic. What happened? So, yeah, he's just talking about how I was like, I was just like, whoa, okay, so what have you seen? And he's like, I've seen someone make it start raining and then stop raining with the snap of their fingers. I've seen people make cars float. I was like, whoa, Kevin, like, how do you learn black magic? He's like, there's spell books. You can read about it. It's all history. I was like, well, maybe we should like get in on this, Kevin. Like, was that powerful? He's like, no, 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 no. Don't mess with black magic. You do not want to mess with black magic. I was like, okay. He's like, we want to mess with white magic. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? I was like, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. Like this guy,
Yeah.
you know?
Heat Miser's talking about his black magic. Or his
Yeah.
white magic.
Yeah, right. I was like, okay, interesting.
Dude, the guy who gave me my first tab of acid, which is my first psychedelic, I was just like walking, trying to use this pen, but like to burn a piece of bud, which did not work at all. And it like made me feel like sick. 'Cause I was like really straining my throat to, get it down. But
Crap, Patrick, that's crazy.
I know. But I was walking trying to do that, and this guy saw my shirt. I was wearing the green shirt I was wearing the last time we jammed, like the steely on the front. It was green, and we just chatted up. And he's like, I don't know, we're talking about like random shit, and then he's just like, "Here, man, take this." And he like takes this big piece of like looks like paper, and he just like crudely just takes a piece off. He's like, "Here you go." I'm like, "What is that?" He's like, "It's acid, man." And
Wow.
I think Duncan Trussell said that like you don't find acid, like acid finds you, or like psychedelics generally.
Interesting. Yeah.
But
Wow. Like it comes to you for a
similar
reason.
sort of. And then for an hour, like we smoked some joint that he rolled, and he told a story, or we just going off like crazy conspiracy stuff. He's like, you know the movie Doctor Strange? That's real, man. I've seen people walk around drawing runes in the street. I'm like, what the
Whoa.
fuck?
Wow.
So we were just talking about like really off the wall shit. So that then I took the acid like half an hour later, and I was just completely. I was hearing AC units going by, thinking they were like helicopters or something. It was wild.
Whoa.
And I got stuck in the Times Square. I was trying to get to Central Park, but I got halfway. Times Square just confused the
Wait,
shit
you
out
were
of me.
tripping in New York City?
Yeah.
Your first time ever
Yeah.
tripping?
It felt like I was in the mirror
Dude,
dimension of Doctor
what?
Strange. It's like all the roads were intersecting and everything. And
Patrick, that's crazy. Alright, so here's the thing. I love, like, LSD is kind of wild because anytime anyone tells you any situation and then you add LSD to the equation, it makes it like 10 times crazier.
yeah.
Like, you could be like, I was in New York City trying to get to Central Park and I didn't get there. And it's like, oh, damn. You say you're doing that on acid? I'm like so interested. I want to
Yeah.
know every detail
Oh,
of what
dude.
happened
When we were
during your journey. You know, it's like
I was trying to
awesome.
get back to my apartment on 14th Street, like my dorm, and there's just one subway. You just go in, you go, and you're out where the dorm is. But I went down to the station in Times Square, and like the turnstile stopped working. I was doing my thing, trying to get in, and like everyone got stuck at the same time, and none of the turnstiles were functioning. Like I felt like the world was ending. Like we're gonna walk outside, and this meteor was gonna hit or something.
Yeah. Like that's just crazy.
So I had to walk to the next station, which was like 5 blocks down.
That's wild. My first trip was in a shed, and there was a thunderstorm happening outside for like 2 hours during the trip,
Yo.
and that was wild. And I started tripping around 9 p.m. I stopped tripping around like 8:30 or 9 in the morning,
Well,
and one of my friends, he didn't show up until 2 a.m. and he started tripping at 2 a.m.
oh my God.
which is crazy. I was like, he was just tripping until 2 p.m. the next day almost, you know? He was just in a different place. And he was laughing uncontrollably at one point. He was crying so hard, laughing, crying, like out of breath. Like it was intense. The first like song I put on while I was tripping was what is it? Astronomy Dopamine, which is the first song on the first Pink Floyd album.
Oh my God.
And it's trippy. I don't even think I'd ever heard it at that point, but I was just like drawn to like the Sid Barrett vibes and
Oh, I forgot that he was in there still.
yeah, that was before David Gilmour, so it's really trippy stuff, man. That was all wild. But we start the trip. There was this album by Schoolboy Q called the Blank Face LP that had just came out on that day. So my friends were like, "Oh, we gotta listen to it tonight," but we just got the acid that day too. And that was very spur of the moment. So here we are, like listening to this trip, you know, of this hip hop album. And it was 4 of us tripping, and then one of my friends ended up going to a party. He got a text. This guy's like, "Yo, I'm going to a party. Want to come?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." So he leaves us.
Oh my God.
While we're tripping, we're like, "No, like we're like bonded. Our souls are bonded right now in this trip. Like you can't leave." And he's like, "I'll be back." So we're like, "Okay." And our other friend, Aaron, who's the one I smoked with for the first time ever, he's like, "My mom just said I have to come home." We were like, "What?" So yeah, he like had to go home while he was tripping. That's his own story. But like,
Damn.
it's just me and my friend Connor, who ended up going into the Air Force, and he lives in Alaska right now. I still talk to him, but yeah, like we were in this shed. It wasn't even our shed. Like our friend who owns it, he wasn't even there. He was at a different party with my friend Alec. And Alec is the one who didn't show up until 2 a.m. Finds out we're tripping and is like, "Oh, I want it too." So he calls the dealer. She delivers to us in like 15 minutes. And then he started tripping. And he had work at noon, so he had to call out like right after the peak of his trip and just be like, "I can't come in. I'm really sick this morning."
Yeah.
So yeah, but trips are crazy. Like, I can't believe you were in New York City, dude. That's wild to me. I can't imagine being somewhere that congested and populated and intense. Like there's so much stimulus.
I will say the first time I did shrooms was in like a woods. It was at a campsite, a campground.
Nice.
I showed up when it was dark out. I like showed up really late, and this guy showed me everything, and I just sort of camped out. And then
Was it just you?
It was just me. Yeah.
Wow, you did shrooms alone?
It wasn't a high dose. It was like,
wow.
It was like a chocolate type thing with like ground shrooms inside.
Okay, I actually have like a bar of that, or not bar, but I think it's like 4. I have 4 pieces. How many do you need to take?
I don't know. It's like it wasn't a. It was like a to-go sauce cup, like half full. And yeah, it wasn't a lot. I've taken like a handful of shrooms another time, and felt a lot more.
Wow.
So, but yeah, it just like I could see colors in the ground where my flashlight was going. Like the ground was just rippling with lines of color, and I was like, "Holy fuck, dude!" And there was some weird shit in the woods. I went to smoke weed while I was tripping, and I lit the match or the lighter, and I saw this like vine poking inside like the sphere of light that the lighter made. So I couldn't see the rest of the vine. I just saw like the poking in part, and it was like, whoa.
Wow.
And then I saw a spider crawling up my leg or something. I felt like bugs and shit on my. It was very like I was like in nature. It was bizarre.
Wow.
I thought it was like Mother
need
Nature
to
just
do
telling me to
shrooms.
like go. And then I threw out all my weed at one point because I felt this like super negativity. I was just like, fine, just fuck, just take it back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing. Tripping is so powerful.
yeah, dude.
But the same thing we were saying about like weed too, about how it, you know, ties into your emotions and
Oh yeah.
amplifies your emotions.
Like the brain is just this insanely you know, there's a lot of experience you can have just like
Yeah.
auditorily, like visually and emotionally.
Yeah, it's a complicated muscle. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. Isn't it's like also like getting high or tripping or whatever, it just makes you realize that how like boring your life day to day sort of is and how just insane that sort of thing goes to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the crossfading story. Uh I don't want I want to include it. I was telling you that I got crossfaded for the first time.
Yes, I remember. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so I started with like a pint of stout, like a really thick and like rich beer. Usually like one of those I get like tipsy at least. And then I do like a shot of vodka or tequila or something. I was like, all right, I feel a little tipsy now. I'm gonna smoke. And to be honest, I think just being high is a lot better. It was a lot more like you're high, but you're more dulled and like confused, and you can't follow
Yeah.
your own train of thought as much.
Yeah.
Um, because alcohol is for like a specific. Even listening to music, I'm not a huge fan of doing it while I'm drinking. I wouldn't want to drink at a concert or anything like that.
Yeah. It makes you feel more, yeah, like washed out
Yeah,
almost, which can be fun too, though.
yeah, it depends. If you're on like a boat or something, that's fun.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And it's good for some music too. I guess like I've been one concert I was definitely drunk for was after I turned 21 and I went to a brewery and I saw the band Death Cab for Cutie,
Okay.
which they're a indie band and they're really cool songwriters. But I was at a brewery, so I had like 4 tags to go get like beer or whatever, and they have fancy beers there, so it was really cool. And that was a vibe though. But yeah, most of the time I'd rather be high, I think. And the other way I hear to do it though is if you're gonna get cross sometimes, it's better to smoke first
Yeah.
because like smoking hits you so much harder than drinking. Like if you take a shot, like it'll take a second for you to like get the buzz and then it's there, you know what I mean? You take another. But when you smoke like a joint, like you are high from smoking a joint or something.
Yeah.
So it's not like you like take like a shot of a joint and you're like, I'll take another shot of a joint. You
Yeah,
know
I
what I
think
mean?
just sort of the opposite for me because the alcohol does take a while. I'd rather it hit because I know weed's gonna hit pretty instantly. So I'd rather just know I'm at both of them at the same time versus you're high, but you're
Oh,
waiting for the alcohol to kick in.
interesting. I see
Because
what you're saying.
for
Yeah.
me, it goes from like it needs 3 real drinks to get me anywhere to like 8. Sometimes I've had like 6 and not felt really anything.
Yeah. It depends for me too, I guess actually. But I haven't
Yeah,
been drinking as much lately, so my tolerance is definitely down. So
yeah, that's probably true. Like, how do you feel about your weed tolerance now?
I feel like mine is in a pretty good spot. The only thing I wish was that I was high for longer. Sometimes I feel like I'm only high for like an
Yeah,
hour when I'm like, oh, I used to be like 2 hours or it used to be 4 hours, when I first started smoking. I would smoke like a joint with my friends when I first started smoking and I would be high for like 4 hours. So, but now it's different.
hmm
But I smoke a lot now. And especially I went home to Albany this past weekend and like I said, my friends had dabs. So that was definitely messing with my tolerance,
hmm
you know. I think it'd be good to take a break soon, and especially I'm about to graduate, be looking for jobs. So it might be good to take a break for a while I'm doing like the job searching in case one of these jobs might require a drug test. Who knows?
yeah, that's true. You think
Luckily, I'm in the music industry, so
yeah,
not too bad.
but the thing is, like, between because music seems sort of like a gig and more insecure type of deal, like film, that you'd want to have at least a day job that you could go back to
Hmm.
while you're looking for stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Is it easy to get like a real steady job in the music industry?
Yeah, it just depends on what you're doing,
Okay.
really.
Would you be
Like,
doing something that's like that?
yeah, I'm looking at a bunch of different stuff right now. I mean, like I've applied to a bunch of different places. Really, I just need to yeah, keep my resume in a good place and just like interview. Like the places I've applied, I've heard a couple things back and
Mm-hmm.
You need to start following up. Following up with these companies and emailing them or giving them a call. Be like, hey, did you see my application? For example, editors. Everyone wants an editor. All these people who are like, hey, we got audio, and we don't want to edit it.
For
So can
what? For
someone
like
edit it?
film?
For a lot of the time, it'll be podcasts and radio.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like I have a friend who does radio. She actually has her own radio show now. She wasn't like a radio editor, and now she's like a jockey or whatever. She has her own show, Monday through Friday.
Radio's not live. Usually they do.
Apparently not.
Interesting.
Yeah, she'll pre-record it. Isn't that wild?
I think it depends on the
It's
station.
all remote. Yeah, I think it is. I think there definitely is some. Yeah, no, hers is like a little private radio station.
I know 99.1, which is the big Connecticut one for like classic rock. They play like the same 5 bands, but
Interesting. 99.1 is hip hop upstate where I'm from. Yeah.
yeah, it's like based out of. You only get it in Connecticut. They don't go very far, but they. Man, I was forgetting what I was gonna say.
Oh, rock radio.
Oh yeah, they do a live type show in the morning, and then
Yeah.
after like I don't know 2 o'clock, it's just the songs and this guy's like pre-recorded message and then a
Picks
song.
106. And then they do their.
Well, yeah, there's that, and then also there's this guy talking about like this day in rock history, and he does a little thing.
I like that stuff.
It's pretty nice. I like this. There's a, I don't know if I'd call it hip hop. It does some classic like it does, Biggie Smalls, but it also do like something modern and hip hop ish, I guess.
Yeah. Just like rap music in general and stuff, or
Yeah, and just like some '80s sort of hip hop. It's like all over the place, but it's really cool. It's like soul. They're not
Yeah.
really soul. I don't know, but do you listen to a lot of radio, or are you more of like a Spotify or what?
it's been a lot of Spotify for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, and it's hard because I know that streaming is killing the industry
Is it?
in a lot of ways. Yeah, I mean, at least the paid music industry. Like artists really don't make money off of selling music anymore. That's not really a thing.
Where do they get money from?
Merch sales and endorsements.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So like you want to have consistent video content so that you can run advertisements. And you want to have consistent video content so that you can have product placement,
Mm-hmm.
you know? You want to have consistent social media posts so that people keep clicking on your stuff so that when you have endorsements, they pay you a lot because they know you have a following. So that's really what it is. It's all about like the business side of the industry. It's not about like having a record that's going to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Like no one's like, you're going to sell a lot. Like you don't sell anymore. You get streams, and streams don't pay out like that. Like if you got $1 for every stream, you would have so many billionaires. So you get a fraction of a penny for a stream. But
Mhm.
bands that don't get billions of streams, they don't get money. So an artist like Drake, for example, he has some of the most successful songs of all time. Post Malone is one of the most listened to artists on Spotify. Ed Sheeran has the most listened to song on Spotify. And Blinding Lights by The Weeknd is the 6th most successful single that ever has been released.
Wow, really?
And so, yeah. Behind like Beatles songs, or like The Twist. Which
Yeah.
The Twist was like huge. That's one of the most successful songs in the Billboard. What is it? Dark Side of the Moon. That album was on the charts for like 217 weeks. I think it was like 17 years.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah. So for most of our lifetimes, that album was like on the charts. Like it's not like, oh, this album's been like on the charts for like almost the whole year now. It's like that was 17 years. That album just didn't leave.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Another album that does that, I guess, is the Black Album by Metallica. So for examples like that, right? Like albums that are on the Billboard, those are selling. But now with the way things have changed with streaming, numbers are just different and things are different. So like the way people are getting paid out is very different. The way it usually is now is you like get your song licensed out through Spotify. Spotify is getting paid a lot more than Spotify gives you a cut of your licensed song. It's a ripoff. That's why artists don't like to put their songs on streaming services. The Beatles didn't up until recently. Taylor Swift didn't
Yeah.
up until recently. And Tool, some bands just refrain from it as hard as they can. Jay-Z isn't on Spotify, I believe. Oh, no, actually, I think he is now. Yeah.
Oh,
But he wasn't
interesting.
for a while, too, because he owns Tidal,
Hmm.
which is his own streaming platform, which pays out to artists fairly
That's
and
cool.
has a higher quality. than Spotify. So there's plus sides. Slightly more expensive though, because you're paying artists. But that's the thing is, rather than paying $12 for an album, now people are just like streaming is the way, I guess. So when I get in the car for a long distance car ride, I'm like, what albums do I want to listen to? Or what artist do I want to check out? Like if I haven't listened to an artist before, I usually will listen to one of their albums, or I will listen to like just random songs from theirs on shuffle. But typically I like to do albums. I'm a big album fan. And then also Spotify's incredible at recommending you music. So for example, Discover Weekly is a playlist that gets generated every week based on songs you've listened to in the past week that it thinks you would like. And every time it's stuff I would like. I'm like, this is so cool. I never would have found this, blah, 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 So I like the Spotify grind a lot.
I tried Apple Music sort of radio feature, which just like plays things it thinks you'll like, and it'll usually play stuff that I've already listened to, but on like YouTube or something.
Yeah.
It never really surprises me. It does know, but I've heard some stuff. Like it's played Mike Gordon a few times, which I don't really love.
Oh yeah.
But I'll get exposed to stuff. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
I tend to listen to like a whole Dead show. It's like, oh, what year do I want?
Nice.
Every time I work,
And you're an early 70s guy?
I think it really depends. I don't know if I would like one particular era. I tend to listen to a lot of late 80s or like even just early 80s. I like Brent a lot, but this mixtape I gave you starts with early 70s.
Yep.
50 years ago, almost to the day.
Wow.
Yeah. Which was crazy.
That's crazy to think about.
I posted on my Instagram story I was very excited because it's my favorite St. Stephen they've ever played.
Wait, which year was it from? It's from 71?
Yeah, April 28th, 1971 at the Fillmore East.
Passed. Wow, yeah. Oh my god.
They did like a 5-day run there, and it was the venue was closing. There's a lot of great recordings out of Fillmore East. It was a really cool venue.
Wow. Yeah. No, Zappa's.
Oh, he had
Fillmore
one?
East was really cool, yeah.
I gotta listen to that.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's recorded so I can remember.
Yeah, right? There we go. We can get it later.
Yeah. Dan's trying to get me into Zappa.
He is nuts. The thing is, he has so many albums. So, like, I will talk to other Zappa fans and be like, my favorite album's this. And they're like, oh, I haven't listened to that one ever. I don't even know if I know it. I'm like, what's your favorite? And they say one. I'm like, I actually don't know if I know that one.
Oh, my God.
Because there's so many. He has, like, over 100 albums.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's like 120 albums. 120 studio. And that's studio albums, not including his live albums or compilations. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, very much music. One of my favorite albums by him is called We're Only In It For The Money. And the whole album's like satire about hippies. And the cover is a ripoff of Sgt. Pepper with like a bunch of people standing on the cover. Like it literally is the Sgt. Pepper picture just with like Frank Zappa characters instead. And like the colors are off and it's satire. It really is. Like he's making fun of it all. It came out the same year as Sgt. Pepper.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So he's straight up just like, kind of like, screw you, Beatles. You know, it's crazy.
Man, I love meta sort of statements that musicians make, like even Donald Glover right now.
Oh yeah, he's a really cool artist.
And like even Sia, she puts out some really interpretive stuff. I don't know if it's like political at all, but it's kind of. Did you see the Shia LaBeouf one?
No, what?
He was like dancing with this like I don't know 9-year-old girl with a Sia wig on, and it was really weird. They're going like really wild dance moves.
Interesting.
It was like he was like trying to like hurt her, but they never even touched each other. He might have like lifted her or something. It was just like really weird, you know, but interpretive, like I said.
Yeah, that's super creative.
Yeah, I would say the music's pretty interesting too, so it adds to it. What's your do you have any sort of list of stuff you're trying to do before you head out of SUNY Purchase in terms of like graduating?
I don't really have anything left that I don't know. I guess there's stuff I want to do, but it's just not the same without like things being the way they used to be.
Yeah.
And also having friends here. Like, you know, I have friends who are around here, but like the friend group that I really made none of them go here anymore. Well, not, they all go here, but they're all at home
Wow.
now, or at their respective homes, you know. So, man, it's
Yeah.
different. But in the meantime, I've been on the grind. Like, I've been making a lot of music of all different sorts, working on a bunch of different things. So that's been really, really convenient too. One thing that's on my bucket list is to smoke in one of the studios. Kind of want to smoke in Beat Sweet because
Oh
I know
my
people
God.
do. I've been in Beat Sweet and there's been weed like left on the control surfaces or like a joint papers that are like tucked underneath the keyboard that someone
Jesus.
must have been saving for later and they forgot about. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna smoke in here one night. I also keep Ozium on me, and Ozium clears smell beautifully.
What
You
is
can
it?
clean your whole car. You can hotbox your car, spray 2 sprays of Ozium in it, and your car will be okay
Is it like
if you leave it for an hour.
I don't know what the equivalent is. Just a spray, right? An air
Yeah, it's a
spray?
spray, but I think it's like a deoxifier or something. It's like a carbon-based spray, and it's strong stuff. Like it says, like don't spray on your clothes. Like don't like get it in your eyes. I don't even think you should inhale it. Like I don't think you should be in the car when you spray this. Like it's not like you can spray it and just like chill. Like
Yeah.
when you're getting out of your car, spray it and then close the doors and like wait an hour.
So
And then
you
your
do
car
that to
will
a
be
studio?
okay. So if you like smoke, you could like probably smoke a whole backwoods, like a whole big blunt in the studio. And then at the end of the night, just like pack everything up, give it like, and then close the door and you'll be fine. No one will ever know.
Wow.
I wouldn't like. That's the only thing I'd be nervous about is that I'd get a call. And the thing is, if I get a call, the worst they're gonna say is, "Don't do that again." And I'd be like, "Okay, I won't. Bye. I'm graduating."
Yeah.
So
Man, that's good. Plus it's like it's technically legal. I mean, it's not
yeah,
allowed by the here, but they can't get the cops involved really.
yeah, which is
And maybe.
awesome. Yeah, it'd be the same as like bringing a beer in there. You know what I mean? They'd be like,
Yeah.
"Throw that out, pour it out." They'd just be like, "Don't have weed in here."
Yeah.
You know, so that's cool. I can't believe it's legal. I'm still in shock.
I know, right?
Yeah, like I went in a smoke shop in Albany a while ago, and it was like when I was home last weekend. So it was recently, and weed's legal now. So I go, and we're talking about weed in there. We're talking about dabs in there. I'm like, we used to not be able to do this. When I was like 18 at one point, I walked into a smoke shop, and I go to the person. I'm like, I'd like to buy a bong. They're like, no, water pipe. I was like, oh, okay. So they didn't even want you saying that term because it
Oh my God.
apparently associates it with smoking weed.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's a water pipe for tobacco. So if I want to buy a bong, I have
Can you
to
smoke
say
tobacco
a
with
water
it?
pipe. You can, I guess. Like, I guess that's what they're intended for. Like, I don't know. I mean, they're obviously for weed, but like
Yeah.
when they're selling them, like it's like before weed was legal, everyone was just like, oh yeah, no, I smoke tobacco out of these things. Like that's what everyone was claiming, I guess. I know people who smoke a mix of weed and tobacco out of bongs.
Hmm.
Like they will usually pack like weed and then a little bit of tobacco on top of it, and they just rip it all.
Does tobacco smell as much as weed?
Yes, maybe slightly a little. I don't know. Maybe as much.
Really?
Yeah, I think maybe as much.
If you're not smoking it, if it's just out as the leaf or whatever.
Oh no, not really. Yeah.
Okay.
Like if you had a box of cigarettes and you left the box open, you might smell it if you like sit down next to it.
Yeah.
Or like a bag of tobacco. If you leave a bag of tobacco open, you would smell it if you sat down next to it. But like if you have a closed bag of weed that's inside of another bag in
Yeah.
your room, sometimes you'll be able to smell it from outside of your room, and you're like, "Dang, this shit stinks."
Mhm.
You're like, "This is some good weed," you know.
Yeah.
But with tobacco, it doesn't smell as much as weed, I would say.
Okay.
When it's burned, I would say they're about
Yeah.
even or whatever. But no, like just sitting. Yeah, no, weed's stinky.
Because you could smell it like tobacco, even outside. I mean, weed you smell for miles, pretty much. But
Yeah, right.
tobacco, like if you're on the opposite side of the street, you could probably smell it.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
true.
faintly.
Yeah, I started smoking. I have a mix of it in my grinder. It's Delta 9 and Delta 8. Delta 8
Oh.
is cheaper weed.
How did you get it now? Because I think it's illegal to sell it online now.
Really?
Yeah.
I got it at a vape shop in Albany.
Wow, dude.
Yeah, you go in and they have CBD bud, and they have Delta 8 bud. They don't sell Delta 9 yet because they're not like a licensed like weed dispensary.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have Delta 8, so you can literally just buy it. And it's like it's in between CBD and Delta 9. Like Delta
Yeah.
9 gets you high, and CBD doesn't really get you that high, but you feel it. And Delta 8 is like you're buzzed, you're feeling it, but you're not like as high as you normally would be.
So you can smoke a bunch and be like not zonked.
Yeah, like if you're trying to like smoke something and then go talk to people without losing
Oh.
your train of thought, you know what I mean? But you
That's
want to
cool.
like be high. Delta 8's a good way to go.
Yeah,
Because you're high, but you're not gonna be so high like you lose your train of thought. So high you're stumbling over your words, or
Yeah.
your tongue feels like it's too big in your mouth. Or you're like, you know, it
forget
makes
to
you
breathe.
less. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So Delta 8 is just a little bit more tame. I have a friend who's an EMT, and Delta 8 doesn't show up on drug tests. And
Really?
He's an EMT. He's like, I don't smoke on the job. It's something I do outside of my job. But like, if they knew I smoked, like even outside of work, I could get let go. So he smokes Delta 8.
I didn't know it didn't show up in your pee. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you
That's-
do a lot of it, same with CBD. Like if you smoke, like I would say if you smoke like an eighth of Delta 8 every day, it might show up on a drug test.
Yeah.
You know, if you smoke like a gram a day, I think you'll be okay. If you smoke a gram a day of THC, then like that's obviously going to show up. Like it doesn't even take a gram, but I think that's probably where I'm at this point. I might smoke like a gram a day. I'm not sure. Maybe a little less.
What's crazy is even Delta 9 doesn't even show up on my drug tests.
Nice.
It's crazy because it happened one time when I was like sorta smoking, but then when I was smoking like every week or twice a week or however much I was doing it, I got drug tested and nothing. They're like, are you lying to us? Are you like, do you actually not smoke weed? I'm like, no, I smoke. I'm telling you.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. It was crazy.
Wait a minute. How does that work?
I have
Where'd
no
you
idea.
get tested?
It was like a hospital. It was like an ER.
You did it just because you wanted to get tested, or?
No, it was like it was just a general sort of screener, I guess.
And you told them you smoked weed and then that didn't show up, and they were like, "What?"
Yeah. They're like, yeah. I was literally being fucking interrogated. And I'm like, wait. So you said that you do smoke weed? I'm like, yeah. Well, your test came back
clearly
negative. I was like,
Usually
I thought they were
it'd be
fucking with me.
Usually it'd be the other way around.
I know, right? So I don't know. I think I would probably if like a job asked me to test, I would like go to a pharmacy and just make sure that that's actually true.
Yeah.
But that's pretty convenient, you know.
Yeah, it definitely is.
But yeah, I'd
I
love
want
to
to see that too. I want to try my own drug test or something.
Yeah. I'd love to try Delta 8. Sucks that you can't buy it online, but I didn't know that it was available at the at the what'd you say, the convenience stores?
Yeah, it was a vape shop.
Vape shop.
It was, yeah. Yeah, I think I have some in the joint that I rolled. So if we are interested in that later, you'll taste it. It's interesting. You do taste it. It tastes a little different.
Interesting. It's probably my first time even like being around it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I think I have it mixed right now in my grinder. I didn't intend for it to be mixed, but I ended up putting some in without remembering, and then I opened it and I'm like, oh, there's already weed in my grinder. I was like, oh, it was the Delta 8. Whoops, now it's mixed.
Oh, here's a question. Have you ever, or do you know anyone who's ever gotten like bad weed before? Because it seems like a really uncommon thing.
Like weed that's like not right. Like something.
Weed that's like laced with something.
I think I did one time.
Really?
Yeah. I know people who have said they've had stuff too. Like I know someone who said that they had weed laced in some kind of like spray, or it was like fake weed. It was like K2 spice.
Oh god.
And they got it sold to them as weed, so they were like tweaking out like psychosis and stuff, like not okay. But my friends and
Did
I
it
one
last?
time. No, they just stopped smoking weed, I guess, is what they did.
Okay.
Like it's not like it wasn't permanent.
Okay,
They just had
good.
to not be high anymore. I know someone who like actually chose to smoke K2. Like they were a felon and they had to go to probation they had a probation officer. They had to go see him every week. He got drug tested every week.
Mm-hmm.
And so he would do K2 spice because it doesn't show up on drug tests. It's like legal or whatever, and he would be like almost like I worked with him. He'd be hallucinating at work off that stuff. He smoked it in my car one time. He's like, "You want some?" I'm like, "Nah." He's looking at me. His eyes are like crossed. I'm like, "Dude, you're nuts. I'm not messing with that." So I know someone who smoked that on accident. But my friends and I one time, we used to go to this trampoline park. You know, like trampoline. You know, they got a bunch of
Yeah.
trampolines there. So we used to go to this one. My friends got ripped off. They went to go pick up weed, and the guy gave them less than they were supposed to get. And as they go to like tell the guy like, "Yo, this isn't how much you're supposed to do," they like drove away. And so we smoked that weed before we go into the trampoline park, and like as we're smoking it, things feel intense. Like
Oh my God.
I feel like when I laugh, it's like so loud. Like I'm like haha, and I would feel like it was echoing in my mind, and like,
Damn.
I was like, I just want to like plug my ears. Like things are intense. Lights were like really like bright. Like I felt like it was just like lens flare almost. I couldn't even tell, you know. I don't even have glasses, but there was like lens flare, you know what I'm saying? So I
Jeez.
was just tripping or something. I wasn't actually tripping. I think it was either just strong weed or either that or something wasn't right. Like it might have been lace. My friends and I to this day don't know, but like I'm jumping on that trampoline feeling like I'm going like 10 feet in the air. Like I know I was jumping hard because I was feeling it. Like I was feeling good, so I was jumping hard. Like I looked like a goofball probably. But at one point I'm looking around and I'm like, I'm above everything. Like I'm really high. And that was the time when after realizing I'm jumping so high, I go to my friend, I'm like, "Yo, is this like weed okay?" And my friend goes, "I don't know." And once I realized that he was feeling something similar to me,
Mm-hmm.
we all started kind of like getting in our heads about it.
Mm-hmm.
So then we're like, we're on lace weed right now. Oh no. Like we're tripping out here. I don't think we were. I think it might have just been strong weed or something.
No, that feels like more than weed.
It must have been.
If you were both feeling it too, it's
Yeah, we all were. We all knew it wasn't right. And every time we smoked
Yeah.
it wasn't right. We smoked it like it was smoked 3 times after that. It was smoked the three of us, my 3 friends, Alec and Connor. Connor being the one in the Air Force, Alec being the one who invited me over on January 1st, 2016.
Oh yeah.
He said, "Come hang out." So 2 very dear friends to my heart. It was us 3 on the laced weed in the trampoline park, and then there was another time we smoked it before we went to Denny's, and like we just felt so awkward. We felt so crazy. I was like eating jelly packets off the table. Like, you know, they have like jelly packets for toast
Yeah.
on the table. I was just eating them straight. Yeah, like it was just whack. And then they smoked it one more time without me, when I wasn't there, and then they threw it out.
The bad weed.
Yeah, they were like, "We don't want this anymore. This doesn't make us feel right." So it was a good call, I think.
Yeah.
It was it was just bad weed. Like that's my bad weed story. Is
Yeah.
that stuff was not good.
Yeah. I know someone whose brother smoked weed that was like with, I don't know if it was PCP or it was something bad because he went to the I don't know if he went to the hospital. It was still really bad, and like I had a stoner, like it was the friend I knew him from was a stoner. Even she was like, yeah, he was bad. Like he was on the
Wow.
phone with me, and like I was freaking the fuck out.
Wow.
Yeah. Thankfully, no one really close to me or I haven't had any bad weed, but there's probably a lot of close calls that I could have had because I've been to concerts where things are passed around.
Yeah, you gotta
But
be so careful.
I know, but it seems like that's really hyped up, that problem of bad weed, when it's not really that big of a deal.
Yep.
Like
I
it
find
doesn't
that
happen
too.
often.
Honestly, it's not that common. I know some people who are like, "Oh, I only go to a dispensary because I don't want to get any bad stuff," and it's like actually, a lot of my dealers, they like know someone who just like got from a dispensary or something.
Mhm.
You know, so
That's good. It's still nice to. I mean, they're way more expensive, but it's
Mhm.
still nice because you never know. There's always like that room for mystery. You don't know what's going on with the weed.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta be careful, especially carts too. There's
Yes.
people talking about how carts have actually killed people, so
Yeah.
dangerous.
Yeah. All my carts are derived from dispensaries, and they gave me a test of all the different chemicals in it, and if it has vitamin E acetate, which is
Whoa.
the killer part.
Oh, whoa.
And it says this thing has been tested for vitamin E acetate. It does not contain it.
Wow.
Which is nice, and it's like that makes me feel awesome about buying it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can feel safe hitting it. Like,
Yeah. because like with a card that I don't know, I just feel really weird. But weed, if someone was like coming from a, an eighth that they bought or a Q that they bought, they know it's good.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious when it's bad. What? Is that the screensaver or is it still recording?
We're recording.
Cool.
Very nice.
Yeah, man.
Ooh. How do you usually do this? Do you like edit it and chop it up, or?
So what I've been doing, there's a few ways like I could do it, but I like to have it like one, like chronological order, as little edits as possible.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
And if there's some sort of like, I don't know, thing I don't like, rarely there'll be something like I mentioned someone's name that I don't want to mention, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like I shouldn't have said that. I can just like pull that out, and it's fine. Because I try to stay semi anonymous with it. Like I try not to say where exactly I'm from.
Smart.
Because then someone could say something on this podcast just like raise alarms. I know Joe Rogan doesn't care, but he's like rich, so I'm not rich, so I couldn't handle that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that mainly the work is listening to it. I'll come up with like a few things to do in terms of editing, but yeah, it's not too bad. It's pretty enjoyable. I like listening back. I do listen back all the way through without editing one time, and I basically write down the time code for what I want to change.
Nice.
But yeah, it's fun because then I'll remember like, oh yeah, he recommended this thing. I'm gonna look at it now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so fun to hear all the things you talked about and be like, whoa, yeah, that's how it unfolded. That's where we went.
Yeah.
Tangents are weird too. I know when I listen back to this, I'm gonna be like, whoa, I talked a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy. Oh. Wait, what time is it? It's like 5:45.
Nice. Yeah, I don't even think that anyone has this room after us.
Oh, really?
But we can go till 6 anyway or whatever. Doesn't matter.
Right,
We're on no restraint.
I think I'm gonna cut it for now, and we might come back to it, but we probably won't because I want to show you some stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. So this was Jordan Demarest, my buddy, my pal from the great state of New York.
Oh,
and yeah, and you're always welcome on this podcast. Even if it's not like a nice studio like this, like it could be over Skype. I could be in another country. We can still do it.
Nice. I would love to. I'd love to come back. This is a great podcast, and I love doing this, and it's always great working with you.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Elijah on too, and I had Dan, so it's really fun to get to talk to you guys more. So, do you have anything you want to plug?
Oh. Follow me on Instagram, Jordan Demarest on Instagram, and I have a link tree in my bio. You can just see all kinds of different stuff I'm working on. Like I got a punk band, Great Pacific Garbage Patch, Ship of Fools stuff is coming out, and all kinds of random music, basically. Some film stuff. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't even think we mentioned you're a drummer and
oh yeah,
you do a lot of that sort of stuff, and you're like music production and everything. So
yeah, that's my passion. That's everything I want to do.
I didn't know I had a link tree. I saw one of the person with a link tree. It's so convenient, right?
Yeah, so convenient. I just made one because I was like, I don't know what link to put here, but now I can put one, and it takes you wherever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's convenient. But yeah, I've been working on a lot of random stuff, so more to come.
That's good, yeah. And I see you're doing stuff with GPGP, right? Great Pacific Garbage Patch. I'm excited to see the video you put out for the Purchase Radio. Are you going to put that on YouTube or something?
I think so.
Dude, hell yeah.
We're going to do some meme editing. Great Pacific Garbage Patch is not a serious band. Like we take ourselves somewhat seriously, but also not at all. So we're going to do like artificial zooms, or what is it? Like in post you can do like the zoom. We're gonna like do those and like meme it.
That's so funny.
And we have this thing. It's like drummer cam, but the drummer cam is just a shot of me. That's going to be continuous. It's just gonna every time there's like a fill, it's gonna cut to the same video that's like not in time. It's gonna be a meme. So it'll be goofy. Ship of Fools is gonna be really good too.
Oh yeah. Here, Ship of Fools is putting out a thing. Jordan and I and this guy Elijah and Dan. Is Dan doing bass?
I guess.
That's crazy. It's going to be an interesting, and he might want to do something acoustic too, but I don't know if we'll have time. But we'll try to figure something out. Anyway, this was Jordan Demarest, and thanks for coming on. This is so cool.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is the best.
All right, I'll see you around.
See you.
Hey, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Here's an epilogue that I wanted to record. Things that I wanted to say after the episode. So now that you heard some things, and I can clarify what I meant. So it's really interesting to see where the conversation around vaccines was at this time. I mentioned that I didn't believe in vaccine passports. I didn't believe that they would become a real thing, but obviously the situation around that has changed a lot. I certainly like to play devil's advocate when I'm talking to people, but currently in May of 2022, actually it's not May anymore, it's July. I feel a lot less strongly about the idea of not vaccinating being something that the rest of the world should accommodate for, because the pandemic has lasted way too long, and as far as I know, it's partially due to vaccine hesitancy. However, there is a flip side to that, obviously, Ebola is also still around, the Black Plague is technically still around, but I'm definitely in no position to say one way or another. I don't want to get too involved in politics on this podcast, but I do have a tendency to hear people out on both sides before I see anything concrete disproving an idea. You'd probably see this as a recurring theme on the show. For the things that are rights or that I think should be rights, I definitely defend them until it's abundantly clear that something like vaccination clearly turns out to be a good thing. You should definitely not take medical advice from me or any other non-expert. I just wanted to clarify that my position has changed, but my approach to political or philosophical questions stays pretty much the same. Around 54 minutes and 30 seconds, I end up projecting a bit about my own parental experiences with Jordan when I say that he was doing nothing wrong when his parents found a stash of weed paraphernalia. I still don't think there's anything morally wrong with smoking weed at all, but having lived in a house with parents who disapprove of weed, even being in the house, it's hard to completely invalidate what your parents want in their own space. A big saying I always hear is that people should be free to do what they want unless it hurts other people. While someone might not be justified in telling someone what to do with substance use, there's still a degree of hurt they experience in the situation that can't be completely ignored. Again, I'm not saying that they're right to feel that way or that you should cave to other people's demands, but on this show we dive deep into this sort of stuff to understand that it's pretty complicated, a lot more than we would want, and that everyone's feelings have to be at least validated and heard in order to be addressed. So what I'm thinking is that you wouldn't blow smoke in someone's face, if you're smoking anything, and by that logic, there's some line where the presence of weed is an imposition. So it is something that can reek even without being smoked, and that carries a lot of connotations that people might not want. Once you start mixing things like someone else's house that they own or apartment with a landlord who doesn't really agree, in that territory, impositions are hard to work around. That leads me to the next topic, osium. That's the stuff Jordan mentions that can completely neutralize the smell of weed a little too well. I bought myself a can of osium since this episode was recorded, and while it does eliminate odors super well, it also has a strong scent of its own. There's strong notes of pine and citrus in it, and if it's being mixed with weed or even just on its own, it still kind of does smell like weed. Since the smell of osium is so strong and weird, if your goal is to remove any odor at all, the smell you're trying to hide is just going to be replaced with something else that might raise suspicion just on its own. So definitely be warned if you want to use it on short notice. I would recommend it for the long term, though. Here's a follow-up on around an hour, 12 minutes, and 55 seconds. Jordan found a job very soon after this episode was recorded at a music studio where he mixes and masters in an insanely short amount of time, and he can actually smoke in the studio with no problem as well. Also, there's a place called The Egg that he works at. It's like the Albany Performing Arts Center. It looks like half an egg. He's worked for Weird Al Yankovic shows. He's worked for Sal Vulcano from the Impractical Jokers, and this other lady, I'm forgetting her name. Crap, I'm gonna look it up right now. Susan Osborne. I didn't even have to look it up. Or Joan Osborne. I'm thinking of Susan Tedeschi, but Joan Osborne also did a show there. So he's doing really good. And he's busy doing super well for himself. And also, maybe, New York bans testing for marijuana as a job requirement. I think the federal government and any sort of like state employees might not be exempt from testing, but I'm pretty sure New York banned it for like normal work, and that's huge. So I really feel good about living in this state. Connecticut has paved the way in its own way because it was so late to the game of legalization, but New York is just killing it in a great way. I also wanted to clarify something I said around an hour, 27 minutes, and 50 seconds. Delta 8 is not illegal to buy online. Online purchasing is actually the only way people in illegal states can get high at all, legally. So I did hear about some sort of ban before this episode's recording, but it was either overturned or was targeting something completely different or more specific. However, I do know that government agencies like the FDA are starting to crack down on Delta 8, so I don't think it'll be around forever, especially since it's a direct competitor for Delta 9 THC, the regular stuff, the stuff in regular marijuana. It's a competitor in legal states, so there's like a contradiction there that the man doesn't like, and it's pretty unfortunate. But you know, it seems like a workaround that can't last forever, judging on how the politics has gone so far on weed. At around an hour and 29 minutes, Jordan says that Delta 8 doesn't show up on tests based on how his friends have used it to evade drug tests. I looked into this, and depending on the type of test, you could get away with it fine. However, depending on how much you use, you might test positive or negative. It's hard to even say since everyone's metabolism is different, and different tests look for different things, but there is definitely a chance they would show up, so I would do some research on the specific test you're taking if you need to. Take a test if you're worried about that sort of thing in the future. Also, every time I've been to a hospital, which is like 3 times, I tested negative for marijuana in my system, cannabinoids, whatever, which is weird. So like, I don't know if it's the blood I have or it's I don't know, metabolism, I guess, or the way my body absorbs it, but it's never shown up anywhere, which is just so strange, in a hospital grade test. So I'm not sure what to make of that, but it confirmed again that was the case 2 weeks ago. So I guess I lucked out on the genetic lottery. I hope you enjoyed these little factoids, but I would definitely do more research on anything you're curious or confused about, since the research I did was pretty surface level, obviously, or anecdotal. So, and I forgot Joan Osborne's name, but I think you guys will forgive me for that. It was really nice to release this for you guys. I hope you enjoy it, and I'm planning on recording something right after this, like literally in my time. And releasing it as a bonus / lost episode, or like call it something cool, so I can release asynchronously and not have a problem, and just abandon the date thing for certain episodes if I feel like there's some sort of like asynchronicity that I want, because this podcast that I sort of am taking the inspiration from for that sort of thing is called the Sleepy Cast podcast, or the Sleepy Cabin, whatever. Say what you will about like the content of it, which because it's pretty raunchy. I do like the lost episode thing. I don't like that you kind of forget the lost episodes more. At least I do. So maybe I wouldn't call it lost, but I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, thank you guys. There's gonna be the standard farewell, but before that happens, I just want to say I really appreciate you guys. I'm really happy that we got over 1,000 views, 1,000 downloads in this podcast. I do think about this podcast a lot. I've been telling people about it, and I've realized that this is like an archival time capsule podcast more than it is a timely one. And I've kind of planned for that. I kind of anticipated that, but it's kind of come to fruition in a very solid way, and now I'm sort of more comfortable with that. So if people have asked me like which episode should I watch, like if they're new to the podcast, honestly, like I would just go to the guests first, and then just in any order you want, based on like the world events happening at the time. Because I don't think this is a front to back type read, just like a manual, not Emmanuel, the biblical figure. I mean like a manual. So, anyways, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you all. Hello. Thanks for listening to the podcast. You can find me at Patrick's Green Tea on Patreon, Discord, Spotify, YouTube, Twitch, and Bandcamp, Patrick's Green Tea Podcast on Instagram, and Patrick Green Tea without an S on Twitter. If you donate at least $5 a month on Patreon, you'll get exclusive access to the Drunk Patrick Chronicles. The show is available wherever you get your podcasts. Supplemental materials like photos and text are available on our website, PatricksGreenTea.com. You can join our subreddit at r/PatricksGreenTea. You can make comments on YouTube and on the website, and you can contact me directly at patricksgreentea@gmail.com. Don't forget to leave a review of the show on your favorite podcasting platform. It really helps us out. Thank you so much and have a lovely day.